You are watching Lucido and Berman as we explore the 30 Days of Thought by Doran. We got my buddy Paul Lucido over here. He's joining us from California, and I'm connecting here from Long Island, New York. And Paul and I decided a while ago to take Doran's 30 Days of Thought, a book that's meant to read, so you can come up with your thoughts that you write down, and from writing those down, you actually record your own video, and just kind of do a self-exploration of yourself, of your mind. Paul and I have been attacking this. Paul, was it like 23 episodes now?
Yeah, I think actually this is either our 22nd or 23rd episode.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I believe you're right.
It's great. Listen, there's no wrong or right way. They're all different interpretations. I mean, and sometimes it takes you a little time. Well, it takes me a little time. Listen, I read today The Concealed Truth. I read it 4 times till I actually, got something that I could write something down on. I mean, first 2 times I just didn't even understand it. It's like the words just didn't even mean anything to me. 3rd time it hit me, and then 4th time I was like, yes, I felt connected to it. These are short little passages. So I'm going to start off with the little introduction, and then Paul's going to kick it off. So The Concealed Truth. The dragon of chaos breathes fire in its slumber and guide the grander treasure within. Mr. Lucido, take it away.
Thank you, Andrew. And this is a tricky one. I actually picked this one dovetailing off the one we just recently did that was love. And ironically, this one ties right into the same concept. I think so. This one was a little tricky, I will admit. And my take on this is dealing with conflicts. There's the underlying truth, and then there's the masquerade. The masquerade being, the false representations of ourselves outwardly to everybody that we encounter throughout our lives. And the truth essentially being suppressed and perhaps even in a slumber. Jay refers to what's called the dragon of chaos, and I was struggling to understand what he meant by that, because is the dragon of chaos representing the side of us that we actually portray outwardly? Is the dragon of chaos something that we're just dealing with? He was referring to the armor that we all shield ourselves with. He put here, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to read off this little piece here. It says, the dragon of chaos breathes fire in its slumber and guide the grander treasure within. Well, the grander treasure within really is the truth, and the truth being love. Love is ultimately the truth that he wants to bring forth. And he goes further to say here, underneath our scaly armor, those false representations of strength, the prideful gestures of defense, the opaque smiles, and the quid pro quo behaviors mask our truth. I think there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. Essentially, if we could find life's meaning through our own awakening, we must be open to each other and our own reflection and the dark dragon of chaos that is concealing the truth, our heart, and our love. Okay, so purpose is very important here. Look, at the end of the day, we all put on a little front, right? We're all trying to be on our best behaviors. Sometimes, we have to deal with our own dragons. Our own dragons might be, just being defensive, perhaps, and reacting in a way when you're wearing those lenses on versus reacting in a way where you're a little more open. Your heart is more open. The other day we talked about wearing our heart on our sleeve. And I go back to the same thing, Andrew, that love is very difficult for people to put out there. It's not easy for people to share their most inner feelings. I go back to the same thing, that love sometimes, while I believe it to be a strength, a lot of people are afraid to display affections of love in different ways as possibly a weakness of their character, or they don't want somebody to take advantage of them. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to get hurt by another person by allowing dropping their guard. But if everybody just understood that, if we all just took it down a notch and were a little more open to one another, it might reveal some great things about not only ourselves but about others as well. So let's kind of start the conversation there. I want to hear what you have to say, and hopefully I could learn from you.
Yeah. So it's like that. That showing that you love is almost showing that you care about the person, that you have dependence on them, and like in having that dependence on them, it almost be seen like a weakness, or you're taking away from your pride. It's just what I'm feeling. So I'm gonna share you my thoughts on this. And what I do, just so people understand how I use this book. So every day when I read through this, not every day, but the days I choose this to be my reading for the day, I read it, I write my little notes, and then I do my recordings. Now, no one sees these recordings. Like literally, no one sees these recordings because, generally speaking, these recordings are done like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm not fit for the camera. But I do it for myself, so I can record myself. But here's what I wrote. We are filled with love. Which is just dovetails on what we just did about love. We are filled with love, a love that wants to accept and be accepted, a love that appreciates others and objects. Wait. Others and objects. Okay, I thought I was reading the other, like from love. Others and objects. However, we layer on top of protection protect us from being hurt. A shield that protects our hearts that are really pouring with love. Like we're born with love. We're born to love, but we just layer on top of that actually things that kind of protect us. So people don't actually get to that love and seem like they were these vulnerable, loving messes of like balls of love. Love is our truth. Love your truth, and you will love your world.
Wow.
Yes, that was my take on this when I did this at 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday.
Well, so I think what you just said, just resonated with me big time, because look, I think we all wear that armor, that body armor. And, Jay made a reference to the fact that a lot of our experiences are kind of layered up here, and then the actual underlying truth is way down here. Kind of, and I was trying to understand, I used the term awaits at slumber. I'm wondering if it is in a slumber, and the problem is we just are not bringing it outwardly. You and I doing this is kind of a good way to share this message. I think this is a message, a universal message to anybody, that struggles with being open and being a little vulnerable. And, if you want to connect with people, you have to find a way to meet them halfway. If we're all wearing body armor, we're going to get nowhere. And, people are just too worried that others are going to find chinks in the armor and get underneath and hurt us. Here's my thought. Okay. I believe, and I can say this unequivocally, being on this planet now for as long as I've been on this planet for, most of us are looking for fulfillment. Most of us are looking for a slice of happiness. I'm going to go back to chapters way earlier on. These are things that I've personally believe in. Most of us are just looking to carve out a little slice of happiness for ourselves, a little fulfillment. We're looking for others to acknowledge us. We're looking for other people to connect with us and understand us, be good listeners, as Jay would say, listen and really understand where we're coming from. And while all that's going on, while we want all that, we're also building up a wall. We're also building up a facade where some of us are masquerading, charading, if you will. Subterfuging. I'm just using some words that all kind of mean essentially the same thing. And I understand that there's a little subterfuge there. There's who we are when we get up in the morning and we see ourselves in the mirror, and then you put the face on, you put the mask on, right? But the idea is, can you also allow some of that inner beauty, if you will, that inner truth, that inner love, that inner light come outwardly. I know that Stephen Littlefield, who wrote the book The Business of Gratitude, he talks about the light. In fact, when he sends me his letters and stuff, in gratitude, he always says, something to the effect, I'm sending you light, which is really a great, conceptually a really great thing. And coming from another man, you can look at that and go, you're sending me light. But yeah, he's that type of person. He's found his way. He's uncovered his own truth, his purpose, his meaning. And that actually affected me because it's what got me started on the path of thinking about doing some of the things that I've been doing now and what we do together. Okay, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but any thoughts on that? I mean, do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that that sort of philosophy, if you will?
A lot there to unpack. I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily follow you 100% there, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me help us out.
Yeah, please unpack it a little for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and I don't know that I'm the guy to do it because I just read this chapter this morning and I'm still digesting it.
Yeah.
There's a conflict here that Jay is basically talking about.
Yeah.
There's an underpinning truth, and then there's this false representation, perhaps, of who we are, who we put out there. And part of the false representation is also the shrouding ourselves, guarding ourselves from getting hurt, guarding ourselves from others. If everybody's wearing armor, my point is, then nobody's ever going to get through to anybody.
Okay.
Because most of us are just trying to protect ourselves from others finding the chink in the armor. The chink in the armor is really the Achilles heel, right? The weakness that we don't want others to know about. I personally have no problem wearing my heart on my sleeve. I think a lot of that has come with age. I think a lot of it is just that as you get older, you just start to realize that, what's important and what's not important. I can't expect everybody to like me. I can't expect everybody to understand me. But it does matter to the people that I care about. But Jay was talking here, about this. Let me read this little piece and see what you think, if this will help us and maybe help our listeners. He said, bureaucracy trumps intimacy. It's very interesting. And our dragon of chaos has a heartbeat. Okay, so it actually has a heartbeat, and it's only her fiery breathing in a deep, shut-off slumber, guarded and distant from her truth, that her real treasure lies unveiled. Okay, so her heart is asleep, and the truth is masked, and therefore the treasures of life are lost. In the end, he's trying to say only only one truth cannot be concealed, and that truth is love, for it represents all that is open. Your fire awaits when you awaken. It is purpose. So my thought right there was, it sounded a little contradictory. Your fire awaits. The fire is the fire of love, the fire of purpose, the fire of being. Once you're awake, you're on fire, right? But in a good way. Right now, there's this other fire that's burning, that's kind of guiding things, but possibly misrepresenting along the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope it does, because I think this is something that would promote a great discussion, in over the course of a couple of hours, because I'm sure there are people out there that might have a different take. And please be advised, listeners, that these are just our interpretations of what we're reading in Jay's book. That's what makes the book beautiful, is because how it might affect me or impact me versus how it might affect Andrew might be two completely different directions. Yet, if you listen, there are parallels in what we're saying. So that's what I got out of it. And I go back to the point that if you read everything that Jay is talking about, this whole book is about uncovering your truth, self-discovery, finding love, being empathetic, compassionate. This has nothing to do with the mortgage industry. I know that sometimes I was listening to prior episodes, we kept trying to tie the mortgage industry. You know what? We don't need to tie the mortgage industry into this. That's not what this is about. This book is about life. And if you want to apply it to your daily routines and how you tackle things, and whether you're a coach and whether you want to motivate others or how you want to look into yourself, that's what this book's about. And hopefully that does some justice to Jay, because at the end of the day, that's what this book is about. This is a philosophical book, okay? And so hopefully through reading it, it will help reveal some truths to you. It'll help uncover some things that will make you a better person, or at least broaden your mind a little bit, right?
And not be scared of that truth within inside of you, and understand that you can pull those layers off of you, or the shroud that you said, take the shroud off of you, so you can let that love shine, and create those good relationships, and let your light be shared, and not be afraid to share your light. And when you're communicating with people, share the light, even something as simple as sending that in an email.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
And with that, read to think, write to develop, listen to what is unsaid, and speak to let go. Those are the 4 pillars or values that Jay tries to push forward, and that's what this book is essentially doing. So very, very happy to be part of this.
Fantastic. All right, listen, so let's queue up next week. Do you have a passage that you're going to pick for next week?
Shall I do it again?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's give it another whirl here. I feel like you and I are preaching the gospel. Here's one. It just, boom. It's called Bored, literally bored. Heed my warning, be present and embrace. Heed my warning, be present and embrace life's struggle. Bored. What do you think?
Let's start. I think that's great. I think I think that's perfect. So listen, I'm gonna throw this out there on the scroller. If you'll see Lucido and Berman. So if you want to capture some of these other episodes that we've done, you'll see on the bottom there's a scroll. Follow that hashtag, Lucido and Berman. You'll see it actually on here on Facebook. You'll see it on YouTube. You'll see it even, I know, LinkedIn. Sometimes we promote it on LinkedIn. So use that hashtag. You can find our other episodes. Get the book. It's really, really just a helpful thing. I think part of it actually, it helps people create content. If they're looking to create content, I mean, we're definitely not looking to create content from this. It's just something to have a little self-exploration. And much like the podcast title of your episode, it's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
It truly is. It truly is. And, we don't get a lot of followers on YouTube. I noticed that there's not a lot of views on that. I think, some of them have taken off a little bit, but we have a few that might be north of 100 actual views, and we don't have a lot of subscribers. But I noticed that if we post on Facebook, it seems like we get more engagement. But we do want you guys to follow us. We want to hear what you have to say. If you have your take or your thought, throw it out there and let's create some conversation. Let's see where this can go. It can be very interesting moving forward. So anyway, Andrew, love doing this with you, buddy. We've got, like you said, about 22 episodes under our belt at least now doing this, and we did it in less than 10 months. So that's pretty good.
Looking forward to doing the board.
Okay.
With that, we sign off. Have an awesome day, everyone.